Hey, did you know that Arctic foxes can survive in temperatures as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit? Well, there's a lot more to their survival story than that. So let's dig into it. Hi, I'm your host, and this is my channel, okay? So we all know that being an Arctic animal means that you need to be prepared for some pretty extreme cold. And while most animals handle the frigid temps by slowing down their metabolism, becoming inactive for part of the year, or just generally being fluffy, Arctic foxes have other strategies. When you think of an animal that can survive in very cold temperatures, you might picture something like a polar bear, which has thick layers of fur and blubber and spends a lot of time hunting on the ice. But Arctic foxes don't look or behave like polar bears at all. They are small prototypical foxes with short, dense fur that stays around 1 inch long no matter how cold it gets. And instead of hanging out on the ice, they spend their time on land hunting lemmings, which are small, furry mammals that live in the Arctic. Arctic foxes have managed to survive in such cold temperatures thanks to a combination of 3 main factors: their fur, their behavior, and their physiology. Let's start with their fur. Unlike many other animals, Arctic foxes' fur doesn't change seasonally. Year-round, their fur is made up of 2 different types of hair. The first is the underfar, which is short and soft and provides insulation. And the second is the guard hair, which is longer and coarser and helps repel water and direct it away from the skin. The underfur alone isn't enough to keep the fox warm, though, like most mammals, Arctic foxes have a layer of blubber under their skin that acts as another barrier to the cold. Blubber is basically just fat, but it works out great for these foxes because fat is a really great insulator. In fact, studies show that blubber is twice as effective at insulating animals as fur is. All this talk about fur and blubber makes me want to give this video a little positive reinforcement. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Anyway, Arctic foxes also help keep their body temperature up by changing their behavior. When it's super cold outside, they curl up in a ball to reduce their surface area to volume ratio, kind of like a burrito. This helps them conserve heat. They also spend more time in their dens, which are often underground burrows they make by digging with their paws. These dens aren't just for raising kits. Arctic foxes use them year-round, especially during blizzards, and they sometimes share them with other Arctic animals like lemmings, obviously, or other small mammals that live in the Arctic. Sometimes they even snuggle up with each other for warmth. Now, finally, let's talk about Arctic fox physiology. There are a few things going on here. First, their metabolisms are just naturally faster than other similar-sized mammals. This means they generate more heat and therefore stay warmer. Second, Arctic foxes have relatively larger hearts and livers than other foxes, and these organs produce even more heat, kind of like how a fever helps fight off an infection by raising their body temperature a few degrees above normal. Arctic foxes can survive in temperatures as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. On top of that, Arctic foxes have smaller extremities like ears and tails, which means less surface area for the cold to affect. In addition, they have more blood vessels near their skin, which helps regulate their body temperature, and their kidneys are better at concentrating urine than other foxes, which conserves water. All of these physiological differences are the result of natural selection, meaning that over millions of years, Arctic foxes' bodies changed in response to the pressures of their environment. In short, Arctic foxes' fur behavior, and physiology all work together to allow them to survive in some of the harshest conditions on Earth. So, there you go. Now you know why Arctic foxes can survive in such cold temperatures. And speaking of surviving in harsh conditions, I'm gonna need you to survive through this awkward transition to our final segment. Every week on this channel, I ask you guys for questions about animals, the environment, or anything related to nature. And every week you guys give me awesome questions. This week's winner comes from a viewer who asked, what animal has the strongest bite force? You know, I had to do some research for this one. I knew a T-Rex had a strong bite, but I didn't know how strong. According to a study published in the Journal of Nature, the dinosaur probably had a bite force of 12,800 pounds per square inch. That's almost 500 pounds more than a lion. Thanks so much for watching, and a big thank you to our pandemonium of patrons for supporting this channel. If you would like to join our pandemonium, you can get started at our support page. I'll see you next time. Bye.